you. Yes, I'm so excited to have you on.
Excited to be here.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so we have Chris on. He's the founder of Community for a Cause. And I definitely wanted to end the evening chatting a little bit about resources and all the great things that they're doing with their organization and just information that we need to know during this time and what, resources we can take advantage of and things like that. So thank you, Chris, again. I really
My pleasure.
appreciate it.
My
It's so
pleasure. My
cool
pleasure.
to see you. I haven't seen you
Cheers.
in like so long.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. We're both on our grind. It is what it
I
is, right?
know. It's a beautiful thing. Like, I
Cheers.
can't believe it. Remember when we were youngsters? Oh my God. It's so amazing.
But,
Shout out to Kelly, by the way, for, this is how we met through Kelly and her amazing work she was doing in the fashion industry. So shout out to her. But it's so great to see you also doing your thing. Like we were working backstage at a fashion show. You had your charity, cause there, and then now to see that we have continued the work and we're still here for the people. It's so dope. It's so dope.
thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
I
I'm
love your
excited to be here.
background. What are those paintings?
Oh, this is actually a painting my wife did. Yeah,
Oh,
this is
that's
yeah, this is a painting my
awesome.
wife did, and then some artwork from Haiti, some photographs as well.
Oh, I
She,
love
she
that. I
she's
need
sitting right
some
next to
art.
me, so I'm not gonna spam too much.
Shout out to your wife. Yes.
Thank you, thank you,
I
thank
need
you,
some,
everyone
I
watching.
actually need some artwork. So you need to give me some suggestions. I just like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I painted my whole entire apartment recently. So I need to put some dope artwork up. Yeah,
Okay,
for
cool. I'll let my
sure, for
wife know that.
sure.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
So let's get down to it. So I wanted to first have you talk a little bit about Community for a Cause and your background and what led you to be passionate about helping your community.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on your platform. Thank you for what you do. I've admired you since day one when you supported us
Thank
with our fashion show. That was fun. Um, what Community Cause does and continues to do is basically defend those who are vulnerable. And we aim to create a platform where if someone has a cause that they're passionate about, they can come to us and say, hey, I care about the elderly. I care about the environment. I care about sexual violence prevention. How can I get a bigger voice? And we can help you amplify your voice. There are certain things that are close to my heart. In particular, my day job, I work with kids with autism. So I started this charity after one of my students had lead poisoning, and I realized they just weren't getting the help they needed. Surprisingly enough, lead poisoning is much more common than autism. It just doesn't get the same kind of awareness campaigning. So I said, well, why not I try something? And I met up with one person, up with another person, and said, why don't we throw a fashion show, get some support, raise some money, etc. From there, it expanded because there's other vulnerable populations that I personally care about, the homeless, storm relief, um, and special education in general. So we continue to develop our platforms, and we have people join and people rotate in and help us out in a lot of different ways. Um, Currently, we are still working with lead poisoning in a number of different ways, but our bigger focus is the vulnerability that we're all suffering, which is because of coronavirus, COVID-19. The idea of the rent freeze being pushed, a rent suspension. We're trying to help push some legislation through that. We also just created a sexual violence prevention branch this year, so we're trying to push that and trying to collaborate with other government agencies, local agencies, so that we have strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the key is the community coming together for a cause to make an
Right.
impact.
Right.
Yeah.
So are you guys servicing a particular community or is it the five boroughs of New York City?
New
What is
York, baby. Greater
Yes.
New York. Yeah, New York.
Okay.
You know what I
Awesome.
mean? 5 boroughs, Greater New York. We tackle tri-state area. People are willing to help. Wherever people need help, honestly. I don't have bounds. If you're in New York, we want to help you. That's what it comes down to because we're all one family. We might have different backgrounds, but we all live in the same land.
Absolutely. Hi, Lynn. Love you. Thank you for watching, babe. That's awesome. Yeah, because I was gonna say, well, hello, I'm up in the Bronx. Like we need resources up here too.
Right, right, right. Quick shout out to
Yeah.
Roman. Quick shout out to Kanata. I see you guys. Thanks
Yes.
for logging in. But and the funny thing is that I found in a lot of my work, because I'll try and find out how do the systems actually work, right? And I had a great talk with Quarantine Cafe and a Always Be Evolving YouTube channel by Rafael Morales about how activism has shifted and how the sheltering is definitely changing the opportunity for activism as we know it, right? We can't protest, for example, and that used to be a very powerful way to gain awareness.
Right.
Um, However, as my friend Rudy would say, activism is the entry level, excuse me, protest is the entry level job of activism. It's a good start, but that's where you start. After you get the awareness, what's your next step? Do you have a definitive plan of action? And the thing that I've found when I talk to different senators and Senate members is that there's a lot of resources that are available, but people don't often know they're
Right.
available. The local government is not efficient at advertising. Their marketing branch is terrible. They have. I was talking to my friend Darren McClevely. He works with another woman, Samantha, who's working with City Harvest, and they said they have all these food
Love City
pantries of
Harvest.
all this food. They said we have all this food, and we want people to get access to it. And we know people are hungry. We know food insecurity is a major issue in the five boroughs, in particular, but people aren't showing up, and it's because people are not aware. People don't realize what resources are available. Before we had this coronavirus situation we're all living in, rent freeze was available for people over 62. Not a lot of people over 62 were
Right.
aware that they could freeze their rent. And that's the issue, is making sure people know what resources are available, as well as how to use the system, not work the system, but how to use the system so that you can actually get the things that you need. And so, hopefully today we can spread a little bit of words, spread a little bit of hope, and hopefully throughout the shelter in, people can be a little wiser and a little bit more knowledgeable as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're super right. And actually, I just found out about that the other day, that over 62 they can't raise their rent anymore. I
Right.
literally just found out about that.
Right.
Yeah, so hold on one second. Okay,
Go
got
ahead.
it now. All right. Thank you everybody who just recently joined. Hi Kev. Hey Vito. Um,
What's going
so
on,
let's
people?
talk a little bit about the food resources that
Yes.
are available in our community right now. And I know I've been sharing a lot on my page and also on my stories, all the different resources that people can use, whether it's food, whether it's volunteer work, whether it's employment during this time. So tell us a little bit about where people can go for food. I also heard in the news this morning that some people were complaining because there were some lists of places that had food, but the people went and it wasn't open.
Ooh.
So yeah, so they actually talked about it when the governor was on, I believe, and he had to answer that question. So can you let us know the places that I guess the places for resources for food that are open during this time where people can go and get their necessities?
Absolutely. And I would say, if people visit my IG account, I post every single day this number they can text. It's 726879. 726879. Again, you can go to my IG now or afterwards, and you'll see the number. I post it every single day, and it's a chat. It's a chat bot. Basically, you text that number, and it's going to ask you a series of questions. It's going to ask you for information. Nothing too invasive. It's going to ask your name, your zip code, so you can figure out what food pantries are nearest to you within walking distance.
Mm-hmm.
You then have a choice between going to a pantry that you make a reservation for, so that they'll set aside food specifically for you, and you have to go between like 8:30 to 12:30. There's a pretty big window. Otherwise, you can go to a pantry that's doors are open, hopefully, and you go you go there and get what food is there. Again, that's 726879. Text it. If you know someone who's in need, think about texting for them, texting on their behalf. Real story. When I was making calls to tenant associations for the rent freeze, I came across a woman. I'll keep her name private, but she used to be a president of a tenant association. She's on disability. She's not doing too well. She's 88. And as I'm talking to her, she says, Are you able to get me food?" And I realize as I'm having this conversation with her, she's hungry. And then my priorities just shifted. I'm like, forget the rent. She needs to eat. So
Right.
I talked to her over a series of days, but she's older in age, and cognitive decline happens for some people who are older in age. She's diabetic. Her son's 62 and he was sick as well, so he couldn't help her out. So I had to actually do the chat bot for her, and she actually ended up getting food. But it's important for us in this time to check on people who are vulnerable. It's important for us in this time to knock on a neighbor's door. You may know a neighbor down the hall who's elderly. You can tell them, don't open up. I'm just checking on you. Are you
Right.
okay? That's it. Let them know. People are going to be suspicious anyway. No one's really opened the door. I had delivery guy come today. I'm like, I'm not opening that. Who are you? What you got? You got gloves? Get out of here. But just check on people, because people are hurting. That's the thing. People are hurting. That was part of why we were pushing the rent freeze for so long. I know you want good news on that. We can get to that later.
Yes.
Um, but it's important in the meanwhile that we're able to eat, because if we're all out of work, it comes down to a certain point where we decide, do I pay my rent or do I eat? And
Right.
literally,
Right.
and I think the problem is that the people in power are very far removed from that reality. The people in power, for the most part, have never been hungry. They
Right.
might have wanted to eat, and they might have had to wait an hour or two longer than they wanted to eat, but to be hungry to the point where you are worrying about your meals every day, or you're worrying about your children's meals, or you yourself are skipping a meal so your kids can eat,
Mm.
they don't know that. And if you don't know a certain pain, it's very difficult to empathize, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
it, so it's on us to share resources. Speaking of food, though, again, 72, 68, 79, it's on Community for a Cause IG. I'm going to post it on my stories every single day, so you can always find that. It's in English and Spanish, so that people don't have an issue walking through that. But it's also important as we eat that we start thinking smarter about how we eat and what we eat. It's important to meal budget, so to speak. We're going to be a little bit depressed because we are sheltered in. It's dark times. Like my visual is very dark right now. It's not very sunny. I should have arranged more lights. Sorry about that. But I'll say the effect is that we're gonna give into some bad habits, right? We're gonna give into bored eating. We're gonna snack because we want stimulation. We need to hit a dopamine, and the
Right.
easiest way to get that is a quick snack. It's carbs. It's cheese. It's some comfort food. But you're eating your money when you do that. Like, you need to be smart and say, okay, I'm hungry. I can have a tall glass of water or some
Mm-hmm.
juice and just wait. Um, Also, making your meal stretch. Adding beans to your meal, you can turn one meal into two. You
Right.
use Pay attention to how much money you're spending to cook. My wife and I we were doing the math on it just the other night. We realized that last week we spent like $150 on groceries, right? And that lasts us the whole week. And then we paused and said, wait a second, did that lasts us the whole week? That basically means we spent $20 per day
Exactly.
on food. And I was like, well, in the past, I would go to Dunkin' Donuts, I pay $7.68 for my breakfast alone. And if I had a cheap lunch, I'm paying $6 for a smoothie. That's just breakfast and lunch. And
Right.
this is me cooking a healthier meal at the same time. And I'm saving, like, wait a second, I'm starting to realize I can save money eating 3 square meals a day that I'm cooking. Just make the time for it, right? So that's important. Pay attention to how much money you're spending on food. Budget your money appropriately. Budget your money in general. Say, okay, how much money am I going to spend on things that I need? How much booze do I need to drink this week? When I went shopping yesterday, I'm a chocolate fiend, right? I'll be honest. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a chocolate fiend. And as I'm buying groceries and what have you, I told myself, you don't got to buy chocolate chips to make some cookies. You don't got to buy any chocolate treats. Just go a week. You're not going to go shopping again for another week. So just force yourself to fast, so to speak. And then
Right.
you know what I mean? I was considering getting some beer. I said, Chris, you don't need beer. Force yourself to fast for a week. Next week, get the beer, get the chocolate. But like, it's a matter of making those little sacrifices. They add
Mm-hmm.
up. It's a matter of
Yeah.
little discipline. It adds up,
It's
and it'll make you
it,
happier.
yeah, it's so many things. Like I was just talking to Selena about, how this is targeting a lot of minorities and things like that. But then you think about it and it's like, okay, but today in the news came out and they were like, well, alcohol, meaning like drinking alcohol, only going to make you sicker if you're already sick, right? But then they
Right,
left the liquor stores open and called it an
right,
essential place.
right. Because it is. Because
Okay.
it is. Because
You know what I mean? So
right, right, right.
it's like the setup, right? And then in regards to what you were saying about maximizing your, the groceries that you buy and maximizing on the money you're spending on groceries, that's absolutely 1000% true. I have never saved so much money than I've been saving through this COVID
Crazy,
situation.
right?
Like, I have
Crazy.
so much money stacked up. I'm like, oh my God, when in a week I would spend like, because we're social people. We're out and about. We're
Right,
spending
right.
socially. We're eating lunch. Sometimes we get home late from work. We'll pick up food, out from outside. So it's like, save your money. Save your money
Save your money. Save your money.
when you go grocery shopping. Be strategic about what you're buying and make sure that you're purchasing things where you can make a meal for 2 days, for example,
Right,
and
right.
things like that. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And then I would say, in terms of strategy as well, take the time to think about your nutrition in a serious manner. It's easy to say, oh, I like Pop Tarts, I'm going to buy Pop Tarts. But if you don't buy it and you force yourself to buy something healthier, your immune system can be stronger. Your dopamine levels can be higher, so you actually feel healthier. Your energy levels can be higher, so you actually feel better. One thing people really need to think about is since we're sheltered in, we're not getting a lot of vitamin D. We're not in the
Right.
sun. We're not in the
Right.
sun. So unless you're taking a vitamin D supplement, one way that you can get vitamin D is from mushrooms. Portobello
Yeah.
mushrooms will give you the
Okay.
vitamin D that you need. It's important to make sure you have vitamin C for your immune system. It's important that you have
Yes.
garlic for your immune system. Garlic is a great way to detox naturally. Dark leafy greens, incorporate them in your every pasta dish I have. I'm chopping up some spinach. I'm throwing spinach in there because I'm saying I just need to make sure dark leafy greens are in the mix. My wife will kill me now for saying she's expecting in August. So the importance of actually cooking for nutrition is critical. I love you, baby. I love
Right.
you.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, thank you,
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you.
Yes.
And you know that adds a bit of impetus on me to make sure that we are eating as healthy as possible. But that's key for everyone as well.
Yeah. I
And
definitely been stacking up on my orange, on my OJ, on my orange
right,
juice. I've
right,
been
right,
making my
right.
smoothies with it. I've been drinking tall glasses with it.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
it's definitely super important. So I hope everyone's taking notes, by the way, because this
go.
is really good information. No, seriously, because and I don't mean to cut you off, but a lot of us complain, right? We complain. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for that. We work so hard. So now that you have this time, of course, it's not going to be that easy mentally to shift that focus right away, because a
Right,
lot of us have lost our jobs. It's like 20 million people on
right,
unemployment and things like that. But there's always a silver lining, as they say. And it's like, now take this time to use all these resources that people are providing to you for free,
right,
nonetheless, right?
right,
They're giving
right. Take
so
advantage.
many free Zoom fitness courses. They're giving so many free educational webinars. We're all, you and myself, we're all providing all of these places where people can go to get more information, to get food, to get, all of these things. So definitely use this time for that, and use this time to learn how to be healthier, and
Yes,
exercise, and how to exercise at home, and things like that. So absolutely. I
absolutely.
want to say a quick shout out to Shantae. Hey, girl, thank you for joining. And I want to thank Brian Arthur for your comment. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. But
Cheers,
yeah,
cheers, cheers to all the
so
people out there. I mean, I would say the tip of
absolutely.
taking advantage of free resource and keeping healthy, it's critical, and I mean critical
Yes.
for people, especially people in the Black and Brown community, to consider not just your body's health, but your mental health. And
Yes.
it's something that sometimes was not available to us, or through just our own cultural histories, not utilized, but it's real, and we're all feeling it. No matter how tough, and no matter how tough someone was, someone had a panic attack within the last month. And if not a panic attack, they felt anxious. Everyone in the world felt anxious, which oddly
Absolutely.
enough provides a beautiful spiritual opportunity in terms of empathy, because this is the only time in human history everyone can empathize with everyone about the same trauma. And
Yeah.
we can get to that, the spiritual tip, another day. Um, but that is something to think about in terms of the fact that we all are connected. We're connected through this trauma with everyone in the world, and if there's anything kind of beautiful about it, we have that we share. In terms of mental health, though, I do want to discuss ways that we can maintain our happiness. You know, diet is one way. There are certain foods you can eat that will naturally increase your serotonin levels and dopamine levels, such as sunflower seeds, vitamin D, even bananas. But it's also important that you do things that make you happy, and that's not things that
Yes.
are necessarily to disassociate, because people assume bliss and happiness are the same. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll don't make you happy. They can distract you, they can feel good, but well, some sex. But it's important that it's important that there's got to be meaning to it, right? Whatever you're doing that's making you happy has to be meaningful. And,
My
and
daughter's like crawling on the floor. I'm sorry.
that's fine. That's fine.
Talk about distraction.
But in terms of mental health, we do have to own that, and that's on us. That's on the individual. Those who try to passively go through this quarantine will not come out stronger for it. It's an active mental process. It's not something that you can hope someone else to take care of. It's not something that you can manipulate someone else to take care of. It's everyone is kind of forced to square look in the mirror for this period.
Yes.
Everyone in the world, like, look in the mirror. This is who you are. This is the life you have created. This is your beauty. This is your disgusting. This is your laziness. This is your procrastination. This is your victory, whatever it may be. And
Mhm.
decide, what do I do now? Because we've all been leveled in the same way. So what do you do with that? How do you build with that? And in terms of happiness, just give some tips, because For my psychology days, I did a lot of studying on subjective well-being, as they call it. Control is a big source of happiness for a lot of people. Some people take it to the extreme. It simply means creating the best outcomes versus it's maximizing good outcomes and minimizing bad outcomes. Obviously, there's outcomes in this scenario that we can't control, but you can control your reaction. You
Yeah.
can control how annoyed you are by things. I'll use the example of me going to the store yesterday and wearing my face mask and it's bending my ears down in a way that annoyed me. And something inside me said, "Shut up, dude. Like, deal with it. How annoyed do you need to be by this right now? You have more important stuff to do." And that's the thing we ask our children to do, but at a certain age we forget that we're supposed to still do that too. We're
Right.
supposed so having a good attitude is important. Being grateful is important. If you had a day that didn't hurt, be grateful for that. If you found any good news, be grateful for that. If you got a stimulus deposit, be grateful for that. Celebrate. And
Yeah.
that's not to say pull that money out immediately and spend it on some garbage. Just in your heart, take a moment and say thank you. Like, okay, life is feeling good right now. That's critical.
Yeah.
Your social
Absolutely.
network. Talk to your friends and family every single day. People you haven't spoken to. Ask yourself, who's that cat I haven't spoke to in like 5 weeks? Reach out to them. Who's the
I
person I haven't
agree.
spoken to in 5 months? Reach out to them. And then I would say in terms of control,
I
two
want to
things.
say something.
Go ahead. Go
Hold
ahead.
that thought real quick. I want to jump in and say something. Hi, Kev. Thank you for tuning in. I want to jump in and say
What's up,
I
Nat?
spoke to my friend yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and she's someone who doesn't normally really like to be outside. Like she'll come out just to get some fresh air and just have a change once in a while. But
All
she's
right.
not really that that type to always be out like every weekend and things. She's I'm sorry for the pause. She's
No
a
worries.
homebody. She likes to be home, and she also goes through anxiety and things and other things. But she said something really interesting. She's like, Sue, I'm not the type of person that always wants to go outside, but now that I'm forced to stay inside, it's been like mentally debilitating for her because she finally realized that we do need people. We do need each other.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
When she thought that, oh, I'm just a loner. I just have, a handful of friends and that's all I need in my life. And I'll see them when I see them. And not because she doesn't
Right,
care. It's
right.
just how
Her
she
preference.
deals with her issues and anxiety and stuff like that. But now she's like, yo, like we need people. We need each
Right,
other.
right.
Yeah.
We do. Otherwise, we obviously feel as uncomfortable as we do. Um, reach out to the people that you love. Reach out to people that
Yes.
you miss. It's funny. And then you were talking with Selena Hill before this about how positively that has helped you mentally. I agree wholeheartedly. I was laid off
Yes.
and
Maya, I can't hear him. Maya, you did something. I can't hear him with the speaker. Disconnect. I can't hear.
It's him, not you.
No, it's not.
It's Poppy calling.
I'll text him right now.
It's Poppy calling.
I'll text him right now. Hey, Chris, do you hear me? Hold on. Hold on a second. Maya, you're in my video.
Okay.
Tell Jeremiah. He's on the phone with him. So how do we do this? Do you hear me? No, I don't hear you. Um, see. Do you hear me now? Hey, do you hear me now? No? Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? No. Oh, yeah, I don't know what you did.
Daddy called and they messed it up.
No. Hey guys, do you hear me? If you hear me, somebody put a thumbs up, please. Or a yes. Respond with a yes. Can you guys hear me? Hey guys, can you hear me? Lynn, is that a thumbs up because you can hear me? All right, let's see. All right, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I think my AirPods
I don't know
died
what
or something.
happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. I
Thanks,
think we're allowed
Lynn.
out though. Sorry, folks, for the technical difficulties.
Yes. Sorry about that, guys.
And thanks for sticking around.
Okay, so
where were we?
let's move on and let's talk a little bit about I think we were already touching on mental health. So I know we wanted to talk about mental health and also the domestic violence situation that's happening and how people are quarantined in really dangerous situations right now. Did you hear that? Did you catch that? Oh, Chris, I think your audio is going out. Or your, yeah. Sorry, guys. I think you may have to come back in. I think you have to come back in. All right, guys. I don't know what's going on with Chris. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Okay, let's let Chris in again.
All right, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, I hear you. Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, good, good. My
All
hands are
right.
free. I'm not
So,
touching anything. I'm not sure what's going on.
okay. So let's just hop right back into it. So I know we wanted to talk about mental health, which we kind of got into that conversation already. And then we also wanted to touch on domestic violence and how there's a lot of issues right now going on with that, with people being quarantined in very dangerous situations.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, and my heart goes out to anyone out there who is quarantined with their abuser. I'm going to put numbers up for people to screenshot. The title above it
Please
has
do.
nothing to. The title above it is code, so that way, if you are living with an abuser and they happen to catch a glimpse of what you're looking at, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. That being said, these numbers right here, repair. This top one is if you live in New York City, that's 621 HOPE. That's the number to call if you're suffering from any domestic violence situation. If you don't live in a city, live anywhere in New York, please call this number. And if you are a survivor of rape or sexual assault, call the specialist, call this number. Okay? So these top two numbers are for domestic violence. This bottom number is for rape, sexual assault. Please screenshot this if you need this. Please call this if you do not need to stay in a relationship with someone who abuses you. There are people out there who are available for people immediately if you need to leave your residence. This is their website, Volunteers of America. Okay, these people will help provide you shelter. If you need to screenshot this, I'm leaving it up for anyone who does need this. And if you know someone who needs it, please send it to a friend. That being said, some people might be to overlook the abuse that their partner puts on them. If you go to the New York Court website, you realize that a red flag for abuse does include constantly insulting. Repeat that. A red flag for abuse is a partner who constantly criticizes you. If you heard that and inside your gut you suddenly felt, if you felt that sounds kind of familiar, I don't want to admit that, realize that that is a red flag. So you may want to go to the New York website. You go to nyc.gov, just Google nyc.gov and domestic violence support. They'll lead the way. Open incognito tab, open a private tab. Be smart, cover your tracks. I'm not saying this to be paranoid, but I want you to be protected at the same time. And if you are in an abusive relationship, identify it and get out. Get out. If you have kids, get out. There's ways out. You don't have to stay in that. I understand that during quarantine, your options may feel limited, but make a plan.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, and I do, and make a plan. And it's unfortunate that so many people have to live like this. Um,
Chris, your audio. Your audio is out again. Sorry, guys. It seems like Chris is having technical difficulties, but we're going to bring him back on because the information he's sharing is really, really important. And I really, if any of you are going through this, or if you know someone that's going through this, or if you just want to share it just to help, people out there, please do. Please do. Please do. Please share the information. Hey, Chris. So
hey.
it seems that when it freezes up a little bit, then your audio goes out. So I don't know why that happens together.
First time it's ever happened to me. Folks at home, I'm sorry. Those who stuck around, I really appreciate you guys sticking around.
Yes,
Again, just to post those numbers again, screenshot this for yourself or for a friend. We're talking about constant criticism or insults is a form of abuse. You don't have to stand for emotional abuse. The top number you call if you live in NYC, that's 1-800-621-HOPE. or 4673. The second one, if you're in New York State outside of the boroughs, and the bottom one is specifically for sexual assault and rape. So please call those numbers if you need it, or pass it along to a friend who you feel does need it. And it's okay to check on friends. If you not everyone, but we from time to time have friends who we are raising an eyebrow about their relationship, and may not always be comfortable addressing, hey, is that guy treating you right? But damn it, be a good friend and ask the tough questions every now and then. If they're your friends, they're not going to leave you. And if they need help, they might say thank you. It's worth breaking the awkward wall. It's worth it. Awkward, and I say get over it. Help our friend out. You get over it and just address it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. And you say, you know what? I'm so sorry because I listened to some crazy guy in Sufios's IG live, but I'm just doing what I thought was right. But people need to stand up and really do their part. The other thing I want to address is that there are bills out there right now. Community for a Cause is big on legislation, right? Without laws being changed, things don't change that much. And there are bills out right now in New York State that would see it made illegal. Right, let me back up. Right now, there's a loophole. If someone sexually assaults someone who got drunk on their own volition, so let's say you go to a bar, you drink, you had too many drinks, and someone were to sexually assault you, they may not get arrested, or not so much arrested, but they may not get convicted. That is a defense that exists. And obviously, right, because obviously there are predators who look for that. I've beaten guys. I shouldn't admit that, but regardless, people out there should, right? There are people out there who look for that. You know, there are people out there who say, oh, it's that girl's 21st birthday. Great. Let me buy it on top of whatever she's got. And in court, people say, well, was it assault, or were you just drunk and you don't know what it is now? Which is ridiculous. But there are bills, and I'll be posting that throughout the week, that help change that into law. And the important thing is that we do change laws. There's a lot of different resources and groups to go to. Me Too Many Voices, RAIN, obviously New York State, Sexual and Domestic Violence. Check them out, learn about what the platforms are, see if they can help you, have questions. If you want to get involved, because it's a problem that affects far, far, far too many women. They always quote the stat at 1 in 4 women. But I'll be honest, from my experience with what women have told me in my life across 20 years, from when I was in high school all the way till now, the numbers that I've experienced has been more like 4 in 5 women have been sexually assaulted or in some way abused, and that's a major problem. There's advocacy to be done. There's fights to be won. There's rapid testing rape kits that can be installed in police departments that makes things faster. I was talking to my wife the other day about how, I think, was it Minnesota? Did I say Minnesota? It was either Minnesota or Michigan. There's a backlog of 12,000 rape kits. That's 12,000 crimes that have not been addressed. How many repeat offenders are in there? How many people are dealing with their trauma? And that's not, like, no more. That's not it. That's not good enough. That has to change. And that comes down to advocacy, and I would say aggressive advocacy.
Advocacy, and I also want to add, and this is not to say that it's the victim's fault at all, because I'm a survivor, and I do want to say that another thing we need to do is listen to these resources and become more empowered, and bring to and build a plan and bring together a group of people that can help you escape. Because another thing that's going on is we're continuing to stay in the relationships over and over. We're continuing to forgive. And so when authorities come and knock on your door and you've already forgiven the person, they no longer care. They no longer care about what's going on. And I've heard officers say this before. Oh, this is such and such they called last week. There's really nothing going on over there. And that person will potentially be dead this time, because the last time they thought that they cried wolf, or whatever the case is. So I want to encourage women, and I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but I want to encourage women to not be so afraid to speak up any longer. There's people that will support you. There's plans that can be put together. Don't stay. I think it froze a little bit. Hey, do you hear me? I hear you. Oh, it's frozen again. Hey, do you hear me? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Hey guys, Chris has been kicked out again, but we're definitely going to continue to have this conversation because it's super important. And I promise you, we're also going to talk about some light spirited things regarding rent and rent freeze and things like that that we all need to hear. So let me bring Chris back on because we only have about 10 minutes. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, they don't want to let us live today. It's
Eighth
because
time's a charm.
our energy is too strong.
It's too much. It's too much for them.
Yes. So thank you everybody for sticking with us and being patient. We're definitely, I promise we're going to end up on a lighter note and we're going to give you, you know, some more positive resources and information and things like that. But I do want to close out my statement, and I just want to say that we need to come together and we need to help those people that are in these situations. We need to empower them to have the strength and the fearlessness and the, you know, and just be strong enough to leave, you
Right.
know, because a lot of people, public, you know, officers and things like that, they're not caring because we're continuing to stay in these situations that are not good for us. So I do want to encourage that as well. We all have to work together. There's so many resources, like Chris said, the Mayor's Office of Domestic Violence. There's so many new new focus and new offices that have opened up to help women that are going through this.
Right, right. And it's important, especially if out there you have kids or a friend of yours has kids and they're witnessing this.
Yes.
Like the point you made about forgiving. It's dangerous to forgive. It's dangerous to forgive a predator, straight up. And we've been taught in certain ways to turn the other cheek depending on our background. But a predator doesn't care how many times you turn the other cheek. It's a different type of evil. And
Right.
and the other issue to realize is that when you have kids do what you do. So
Yes.
if you're raising a little girl, they'll understand this is normal. It's normal for men to put their hands on me and do what they want with me. So when I'm older, I'm going to date guys, and if they act the way daddy does or this man does, that's normal. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not atrocious. That's not something that I'm going to be like, hold up. Absolutely not. If you're raising a little man, they're going to see this and say, this is normal. It's okay for me to put my hands on women and do what I want.
Exactly.
And again, this is not to say that sexual assault only happens to women. You know, it happens a lot in the LGBT community, and they suffer the same situation with police, if not worse, where cops will go to a call and they'll see a same-sex couple, and they're very willing to say, I don't want to deal with this.
Right.
And that leaves someone again with their abuser. Make a plan. If you are living with an abuser and you cannot get out now, make a plan in your head. Say, okay, I can't stay here forever. This guy's telling me that Volunteers of America will help me find a shelter. I'm going to look them up. I'm going to open up a private tab. I'm going to open up an incognito tab. I'm going to look up this /housing, and I'm going to find out how I can get out. Right. I'm going to talk to friends who've been through this. I'm going to find out there's other women who've been through what I've been through. They've been in my shoes. They've been in worse situations, and they got themselves out. Don't lose hope. Yeah. Hope is free. Hope is free. Don't lose hope. Yeah. You know, ask yourself, what does it look like when I don't have to live in fear every single day? Anything's better than that. Anything's better than that.
Exactly. And I want to thank you, Chris, as a male. You know, this is coming from like a male perspective, as a male standing up and speaking up for this. I really, really want to thank you for that. Because we need to hear more men talk about this. You know, we need to, you know, I talk about this all the time, that one day I'm looking for that person or that male who one day, who was the abuser, who one day can speak up and right. share how they, right. how it was really bad, but they didn't end the person's life and they changed their life for the better. And now they realize how bad and how much of pain and abuse it was causing this person, you know, because we need to hear this. You know, there in the past, not a lot of people wanted to speak up about this because there's negativity connected to it, because people think, well, you're still staying in the situation, you're agreeing to it, you're not a victim, and things like that. And also to your point with the children, it's super important to leave, especially when you have children, because, you know, we talk about mental health, right? So, you know, we need to break the cycle. Like now our children are growing up in an unhealthy situation at home. They're seeing this. So they're in turn, it's going to be a domino effect. They're in turn going to act this way. You know, I mean, hopefully not, but you never know because they're already seeing these things, right? So they're in turn now going to grow up with these images in their head. They're going to have issues in, you know, in the future in their life if they don't address it. So we must, you know, this is something that is really concerning, and it's really important, and it's happening too many times. So thank you so much for stepping up and bringing light to it. I appreciate it.
Just playing my part. Appreciate you giving me a platform. So thank you,
Yes,
Sue.
yes, absolutely. So if anyone, we have about 5 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, I put Chris's information on my Instagram, and he shared some phone numbers with you. But if you reach out to him, he'll share those phone numbers again, and he'll share,
absolutely,
you know, places where you can contact so they can help you develop a plan. You should not be stuck right now in during this time with someone that's, you know, that's abusing you. So definitely reach out to him. But I want to end it on a lighter note. So I know we wanted to talk about the rent freeze. Give us some good news. Can we live rent free for a few months?
All right, so
we need
here's
the
deal.
I'll give expensive.
Rent is expensive. It's not cheap. In New York City, the average rent is $2,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And that's only going up. The good news is that in some places, rent freezes are occurring. That's how I have to start it. In New Jersey, for example, Governor Murphy actually started a rent freeze for 37,000 houses.
Wow.
If you look abroad in Berlin, capital of Germany, they rent freeze 1.5 million homes. Wow. So it's possible. The concept itself is fundamentally possible. De Blasio is actually pushing for it. Currently we know there's a 90-day moratorium on evictions. The question is, well, what happens after 3 months?
Right.
Is there going to be a tidal wave of evictions? But reality is that there's 5.4 million New Yorkers. Percent of them cannot afford the rent. This past
is a little frozen again. But thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate all of you so much. I'm so happy that I actually did this. It took me a while to you know, feel better and comfortable to do so. So thank you for tuning in and supporting. I really appreciate it. We're gonna end in a good note. We're talking about rent freezes right now, so hopefully New York City's next. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Sue. Hey, Sue.
Yeah.
Thanks for your patience. Jesus.
It's all right. We're gonna get through it.
All right. Oh man. But again,
so the rent freezes.
There's bills in the Senate and the Assembly. They both need to actually put on the floor calendar so they can vote on them. If anyone's interested, we need people to call. If we call the people who will put that on the calendar, and you cause disruption by calling them, it's not like a 3-day thing. It's like it's being willing to make a 1-minute call every day of the week until June.
Right.
It's a 1-minute call. It's not that much of a time commitment, but you have to make it every single day.
What's the phone number? Share the phone number with us.
Oh man, people are gonna have to reach out to me for that one because I don't have that one right in front of me.
I'll reach out to you and then I'll post it. Yeah.
Because all you need is 24 people. You get 24 people who agree to call in 15-minute increments. You cause disruption. Just 24 people on any issue, you can cause disruption, and that's the key. Is to use. Oh, excuse me, I do have the numbers. Let's see.
Perfect.
Let's see numbers. I'm gonna try and put it up right here. Oh, okay. My wife's gonna actually post it. So
awesome.
for assembly, you got to reach out to Carl E. Heasty, and his number is gonna be 718-6539. And for the Senate, you're gonna reach out to Andrea Stewart Cousins, and her number is gonna be 914-423-4031.
Okay.
And you got that? I'll text it in for you guys. But
okay, great. Yes, thank you so much.
And then anyone who's down, reach out to me. I'll cut it here before I freeze out, so I'll let you close out on a
Yeah.
high note.
Well, actually, before I close out, give us a little bit about what your organization is already starting to do as far as rebuilding and outreach goes. Once you know, we're able to actually reach the you know, the curve, and things start getting better. Have you guys started to work on that, on strategizing for rebuilding?
What we're doing is basically collaborating with as many different organizations as possible. What I'd like to see done, especially in Black and Brown communities, aside from financial literacy, and I'm going to warn those out there who have been approached with pyramid schemes with financial literacy, just do your own research first. There's a lot of people approaching people right now saying, "Hey, give me your money, and I'm going to make you better at money." First, do your own research on how to be good with money. Right? First, learn how to budget. First, learn how to keep track of what's in your pocket. First, learn how to set certain goals. Remove zombie accounts from your bank account. You know, do you have an old gym membership that you're paying $30 a month for still, and you just never canceled it? Do you have a Hulu account that you don't use because you're watching Netflix? You know, whatever it may be.
Yes.
And then also there needs more educational tech education for people in Black and Brown communities, in particular, learning things like coding, because that's a job you can do from home. In particular, learning things like options trading, Wall Street, stock markets, getting into these areas that we have are
Yes.
highly underrepresented. But
Yes.
there's ways to make a lot of money, and it doesn't
Yes.
matter what degree you have. You know, it's just a way to leapfrog generational wealth. If you understand how to work either a candlestick chart, or you understand how to play option trading with the calls and puts appropriately, there's ways that you can make money. I'm not gonna say easily, but there's ways that you can make money. You can make it a day job from home, regardless of what your background is. There's no
Right.
interviewing for the job. You can do it from your phone if you have the proper resources, but you have to be smart about it.
Yes.
But then coding is big because obviously we're going to continue to move in technological ways. So the more that we're able to code, the more that we're able to be technologically savvy, the more that we're able to actually consider tapping into robotics, the better we'll do.
Right.
So my goal is to work together with different local agencies to find ways that we can give kids, the youth, as well as those who are coming home. Ideally, I'd like to give those who are coming home the opportunity to get these technological skills as well. That way we can build our own wealth, and it's more in our own hands to build our wealth.
That's amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. I love that you're doing that. And you said that's for the youth?
Ideally for the youth, but also for those coming home.
Oh,
We
okay.
want.
Okay. Oh my God. I want to talk to you about that offline. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because a lot of our kids at the center can definitely
Okay.
use some financial literacy skills. Absolutely.
Sounds
Um,
good. Sounds good.
yeah. So we thank you again so much, Chris. I really, really, really
Cheers.
appreciate you. This was so great. I have wine here. Cheers. I didn't want to drink. I look like a hypocrite. but but yeah, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing with the organization, all of your team. Thank you for you know, gathering the community together, and you know, being a strong force. I don't know if it was you or if it was Selena tonight that said we're stronger in numbers. So definitely thank you so much for coming on the live. I really appreciate
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you for having me. Next time I
Yeah,
use my
thank you
wife's
for being,
phone though.
yes, thank you for being a part of my coming out the cave moment tonight. I really appreciate it.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, and I hope we continue our you know, communication and things like that. Any way that I can help with my organization or myself individually, definitely let me know.
We'll
I'll
talk
let you know
offline.
about, yeah, I'll let you know about the work that I'm doing with Job Corp in the South Bronx. Definitely, I would love for you to come and speak to the students and to the center
I'd love to.
director and let them know everything you're doing. So we'll, a lot of things that we can do together. 100%. So before we wrap up, though, I do wanna send out my heart and love and positive energy and prayers for everybody that's on the front lines, our nurses, our police officers, our firefighters, our postal workers, everyone who's volunteering to give out food, all the businesses that are giving out food. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And also, I want to give my heart out to your wife who's home expecting.
That's you.
Yes. And to
Thank
all
you.
of the women who are expecting, to all of the
Yes.
women who are
Yes.
giving birth during this time, it's so hard. Also to, you know, unfortunately to the elderly who are living in the homes and who are passing away, to the people who are passing away and we can't even hold funerals for, like, my heart goes out to your families, everyone. Just let's come together, let's support each other, let's love on each other, let's do the best that we can to do positive things during this time. Let's not let the negativity consume us, let's not let the sadness consume us. We're gonna get through this together. And that's all I got for you guys this evening. I hope that you really enjoyed both of the lives. Selena Hill is amazing, Chris is amazing, and you know, I'm really grateful to be surrounded by so many people that can inspire me and inspire all you guys. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're amazing. Yes. So thank you, Sue. Thank you. And thanks to everyone out there watching.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Stay safe,
Yes,
guys.
and
Stay safe.
it's yes. Oh, it's gonna cut off. It's gonna cut off. I think it cut off. Guys. I don't know if Chris is gonna try to come in again, but again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Any questions you guys have for me, definitely hit me up, send me a DM. If you guys have any topics you want me to talk about, any guests you want me to bring in, definitely let me know. I have some really great guests coming next week. Hey Chris, I'm getting back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I was just still thanking everyone for watching. Thank you again for being a part of this. We have some really great guests coming up. Chris mentions, you know, just like learning about financial literacy, and we have someone who's going to talk to us actually about investing and stocks and things like that next week. So that's dope. We have my girl that's on the Fearless Women board. She just dropped a book, Network Like You Mean It. She's coming on, so it's going to be really dope. And I hope that you guys have your pen and paper and you're taking down notes, because you know we're gonna have fun, but a lot of the point of all of this is also to share a lot of resources with you guys. So thank you. I think Instagram's about to kick us off. So thank you so much. Have a good night, Chris. Have a good night, wife. Have a good night, everyone.
Take care, guys. Be good.
Bye.
Cheers.
I'm like mom when you say